little bit more about China. Person that I know, he came up with a product that was quite a good idea, and it's rattan furniture. This is before rattan furniture was in the UK, um, at the level that it is now. And this person, he brought it here, and he made it work. He got it from China, and he made it work big time. Um, he managed to sell it through online. And what he did was he owned an advertising agency at the time, and he got one of his designers to make a bit of an AI image before AI. 'Cause this is a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago. But he got his designer to make an image of a piece of furniture for the garden, but it was actually aimed at people that lived in apartments. Because at the time they were building a lot of apartments in London, um, Leeds, Manchester. So he started a website called City Living, which is obviously for people living in cities. These people that have these houses and well apartments, they had nowhere to sit out because they couldn't put garden furniture on a balcony. So what he thought he'd do is he designed a piece of furniture that stacked up, and it was at the bottom of four chairs. At the top there was a table, and it all stacked up like that. And it looked like a cigar, but it was more like a gherkin. It was about 6, 7 foot high, but it was only, oh dear, 700 millimeters wide. And when it stacked up, it all interlocked, and it was a perfect piece of furniture. So people that lived in apartment buildings could buy these, get them out, sit down on 2 chairs, 3 chairs, for how many chairs they want to sit on. There was actually 2 tables in it, in the design. And they could sit on the balcony and have a drink in summer, and there's somewhere to sit out a little bit easier than a couple of deck chairs. And it looked well. Anyway, the gentleman that invented this, he he only had a drawing. That's all he had. But people were after it. There were a lot of people after it. Um, I can't remember the figures, but there was a lot. Maybe a couple of thousand units sold. On the first day, there was over 200 units sold, and it wasn't a cheap item. It was £799 each. But it took off. It took off big time, to the point of it was actually selling it on Groupon. And it was selling by the minute, and his bank account was getting credited per day. He had a special arrangement with Groupon where he got paid when they got paid. So he thought, well, I don't have it. I have to make it. We have to get it made. So the next day, well, that same day, he got on a plane and off he went to China with a drawing of something, a very good drawing, enough for the drawing to attract hundreds of customers. So there he goes. He gets to China and starts walking around, and he goes to Garden Furniture Town. And goes around lots of factories, and he's saying, "Look, can you make this? Can you make this? Can you make it? Can you make it?" Everybody said, "Well, yeah, they in China they just say yes. Yeah, I can make it," but they can't. They're not as good as what they say they are. But they'll have a go. They will have a go. So he says, "Well, show us some that you've already made." So they showed him something, and it was there was one factory in particular that did something that was actually very similar to what he was wanting. And the owner spoke good English, and he had a good idea of how to do it. So they gelled, they got on well. And he thought, well, fine, okay. He said, look, by this time, he'd done almost £1 million in sales, and everybody was prepared to wait for 8 weeks. So it were a win-win. the money in the bank. He had a factory that could make it, and everything seemed rosy. Now, the problem with China is if you do deal with the factory in China, you'll find that they'll give Chinese nationals priority. So all the crap goes to you, and all the good stuff stays in China. So he asked the guy, "How busy are you?" The bloke said, "Well, we're not busy at all, really. We're not making much. There's only like I think there was something like nine of them working there." And the guy said, "Look, if you take this on, we're going to be putting a lot of money through your factory. So we don't want you to um, do sell out in China, just sell for us." To the point of they want to be the only customer. And he says, if you do that, I have an order at the moment for $1 million, and I'm prepared to give you that order, but you have to staff up now, get all these staff, get more staff, get people in, manage it properly, and be in a position where you can get at least in 2 weeks, at least 3 or 4 containers at sea in 2 weeks. Can you do that? He says, yeah. How can you guarantee me that you're not going to start taking other customers? And he says, buy my factory. I said, no, I won't buy it. He said, I won't buy it. What I'll do is I'll give you this $1 million order, and you sign your factory over to me. And then once the deliveries once it's all done, we'll give you the factory back. And this was in May. I think it was 2010, May 2010. So the Chinese man quickly got his lawyer on the phone. He got him in, and the guy came and said, "Right, this is what you need to do. We can sign the factory over to you. You don't own the building, you own the business. And at the end of this, you will give us it back." So I said, okay, and off we go. So all of a sudden, he'd been in China 2 days, and he'd had a factory signed over to him. But the important thing is he had exclusivity on that factory to make stuff for him and nobody else. So that was a good thing. The owner of the previous owner of the factory, he had an order. So he's like, everybody were happy. There were now 49 people working there. They agreed a price on how much it cost us to make it. And it was, I think it was $40 to make one. And they were selling them at $7.99. So there were a lot of money in it. It was it worked out roughly maybe $40 to ship it as well, because you could get quite a lot in a container, quite a lot. So that's the whole point of a container. You get as much as you can in it, and it comes down to the price per unit the container divided by the price per the number that's in there, and then you get a price per unit. So that was that. So off they went. I started making them, and they made them. They made them really quick, and the quality was excellent. The next day after that, they made one for us to look at, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So then the factory was left to get on with it, and the guy come back to England, and he's there, and the group on phone to him saying, what else can you do? I said, well, I can do whatever you want. Well, let's get some more designs. So they decided to do the gherkin. They did another one that folded up, and it was called the Aztec. And then they said, what about normal people that have got gardens? Oh, we'll make another one called the Pomporovore. And let's do another one called something else, a square table with 2 benches. So there was about 10 designs. So off they went, started making them, started getting them over, and it was going quite smooth. But the thing with Groupon is it's a bit of a fad. They buy for so long and then they stop. So in total, there was it ran out of steam. There was a lot made, but it ran out of steam. Um, the guy was going to and fro China all the time. And that was a nightmare because if something went wrong, rather than try and deal with it, it was easier to get on a plane and go to China. 12 hours later, you'd be there sat in the boardroom, sorting it out. Um, the story's got a second part to it, but I have one of these that do second parts. It's a different story. How it all finished up and you know how it all ended. Um, and I'll tell you that another day when I'm in the mood to talk about it. But if you don't mind, could you like and share, subscribe, share the hell out of it, share it everywhere, and put at least one comment. I don't care what the comment is, providing it's not rude. And I thank you for watching. Please subscribe.